Well,
Yeah, it
we'll
was.
walk away. No.
Let's call the meeting to order. It's 8 o'clock. So the finance meeting to order.
Yeah.
Seventh, all members are present. And entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as published and also approve the minutes from February 7th.
I make a motion.
Moved by Doak, second by Steve. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none. Motion carries. Anyone for public comment? Seeing none. Move on to the monthly administrative reports. Paul, you want to do the financials and if you have any updates on dental or anything, everything?
Sure. Financial, so. January reports, no contingency so far. Sales tax. This is payment number 12 that gets recorded as revenue for 2024. It was 144,408. The year to date is 1,764,28. Meaning that after lagging behind for the whole year, the last 2 months caught us up. We're actually 11,600 over the previous year. Which is and also well above our budgeted 1.55 million. Actually, on that note, we got another surprise in the mail. Not a complete surprise, but we got a check from City of Kewaunee for closing out PID number 2, 104,961. That's a little extra unbudgeted as well. And that one will actually keep on giving. So our levy limit for next year will show an increase as a result of that, like it did for the TID district in Luxembourg that closed. I think it was 2 years ago. We'll see some increase in our levy limits based on that as well. As far as any information for the monthly reports, January is 1 month into the year. There isn't much going on because it's super early. And the closeout of 2024 isn't done yet. I have between now and probably the end of March, or almost the end of March, where I'll be looking at reviewing every department, seeing what's outstanding yet, make sure there's no errors. I will say that I previously had predicted that we'll have a good year. We certainly will. I said it's probably not going to be as good as last year. It's actually probably closer than I thought it was going to be last year's. I do need to go through and make sure that there's nothing in there that shouldn't be, and vice versa. But it's turning out to be a better year than I was anticipating. So this time next month, we'll bring the results. We'll also have our year-end surplus that we'll deal with, and we'll have a list of carryovers. The carryovers aren't as long as they were in previous years because the supply chains have picked up. But there's a number of unfinished projects that should be brought forward into next year. All that will happen at the April meeting. The loan application I mentioned last month is actually on hold. There were some issues between their statements that put together, so the applicant chose to just stop, go back, and redo the reports. We'll submit it later. I do anticipate that coming. I just don't know when. Solid waste. 2 things to mention there. Number one, we got our check for last year. It was 44,214, half of what we submitted. The better, number one, that's a lot quicker. Sometimes it takes till October. And number 2, there was a change in state law that means we could probably not have to have our funds in the trust fund anymore, which means we don't have to pay $3,200 a year to the trust. We can earn a higher interest rate because the restrictions aren't nearly as restrictive on the investments, and it's in our control then. So I've started the process for next year. Our auditors have to do something different in the audit. So in the 2024 audit, they'll do their additional procedures. I think they just have to get some assurances on that fund. And then at this time next year, we should be able to not have to have that trust fund anymore. And we'll be able to reimburse ourselves from our own pot of money. And as a bonus, be able to earn a little more and spend a little less on having that fund. That's it for the financial. Medical dental reports didn't come. So nothing to report on that. And overtime the report was in the packet. Overtime for February 19th. Overtime was in the packet. if there's any questions.
Any questions on Paul's report?
One question for you, Paul. Are we circulating the supplemental payroll or?
I didn't grab it. Yes, we will.
It'll come up later, I know.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's nothing else than that, then we'll move on to item 7, which is approval of funds for the design of the highway shop for $179,500. And suggested that that come from the general fund under the future capital improvements.
Yeah, so I'll go first.
So can I go first?
The reason I mailed this out is, this conversation's probably gonna come up again. It's to show that, A, where this specific request can come from that capital project funds, which we started last year. We do have a few other things set aside for capital related purchases. And to go back to my previous comment about 2024 not being closed, we will have more going in, probably very similar to what we put in last year, into the future capital projects fund. So this is to show that there's money set aside for that purpose. And I don't want it misinterpreted that it's burning a hole in their pocket, because it certainly isn't. It's there for specific purposes when we need it. And this being the case where we need some money for engineering for a new building certainly falls under the capital project.
Oh, how much did we put in last year?
1.535 million.
Okay, can we think something along those
It
lines?
should be pretty close.
That's
And
good.
I'll say last year we also put 500,000 in the solid waste fund. We won't need that this year, so we may have more than last year going in.
Make a motion to approve the 179,500 for the design funds for the highway shop,
Funds coming from,
the general fund.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Steve. Okay, move with Jeff, second by Steve to approve the 179.5 for the design for the highway shop proposal, with funds coming from the general fund, the future capital improvements. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, Marty. And thanks to the design subcommittee and highway committee. Moving us forward. But there'd be a little bit more discussion on that, that's fine. Next on the agenda is the 2025 budget adjustment for grants that were received by Human Services. One for crisis intervention and one for youth justice. These would be new line items in the Human Services budget, so we'd have to have budget adjustment approved for those amounts. Anything else on that?
No, other than new grants, so budget adjustment block. They're new grants, so a budget adjustment's required because it hadn't been the 2025 budget process.
The crisis intervention is 24,496, and the youth justice grant is for 54,000.
What are they earmarked for?
Everything I know is so.
There's the page on the last page of the packet, or on the last page. So the third,
And then I was found up to sign it back.
These require any matching funds? Or-
Need a motion.
I would entertain a motion to approve the 2025 budget adjustment for the Human Services Department.
I'll make a motion.
Moved by Steve, second by Doak to approve the 2025 budget adjustments to human services for 2 grants.
I know we're waiting.
24,096 and for 54,000. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, hearing none, motion carried.
So that's gonna need a board resolution. It may not make the.
What I can do, what you're able to.
Okay, thank you for that. Excuse me, next on the agenda is the consider the sale of land, which there's a map that does 2 parcels. I think we've discussed this once before or a couple times before. Do you have any further updates on that variance?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So yeah, the 2 maps at the end show the parcel that I would like the committee to consider today. The light blue highlighted area is the actual parcel. The 2 maps, one's a little bit more zoomed out, the other's a little bit more zoomed in. Where we're at here is town of Lincoln, just off Town Line Road. I think it's a little bit north of County S, is that right? And so this is the former, and this is before my time, but somebody told me that it's used to be the Lincoln Co-op Way Pit. It's a 1 acre exactly, long rectangular parcel, landlocked inside a farmer's field. So it's of little value to the public or for county use. However, we do own it. So we have been approached about purchase and sale of that piece of property. And I think, in looking at it, it is possible for a government to sell a property directly, but what's more typical and I think would be appropriate here if the committee and ultimately the county board are interested, it would be to put it out for an auction and allow open bidding on it. And I think, I've looked up how much farmland was selling for in Wisconsin last year, and average acre of farmland went for between 7,000 and 8,000 statewide. I don't know if that's necessarily representative locally or not. But if the committee is interested, we could get you some stronger figures on it, or if there's a willingness and a want to sell it, I think we'd be responsible to put it to prepare documents and put it out for open bids, and setting a reserve of the committee's choice. I think, a number that is low enough to encourage bidding might be 5,000, and whoever might be interested might be able to get it and put it into use, get it back on the tax roll, and a little bit that it would generate and still be a net positive. And I really don't see any use that the county would ever have for it.
I have a question. Do we have to do soil borings on it?
I've not looked into that. I just don't know the answer to that.
This is the same parcel we talked a couple months ago.
One of the 2, yeah.
Okay.
The other one was at the corner of BB.
And so this is, I think that was when we said we did want to go out for bid or try to sell it, right?
Yeah, it's
So now this is more concrete. Also, is that what you're saying?
correct. Yeah. And also, I think we were talking about a direct sale at the time. And just in terms of transparency and openness of government, I recommend rather than a direct sale, we auction it.
And we dispose of the other piece of land or not yet?
The other piece, no action's been taken.
Okay, so it's still sitting there. Now this one's landlocked. How do people get access to it if they bought it? There's no easement?
I'm not aware of any easement. I believe that it's entirely within one person's, one farm.
That's it.
Other people's.
Jesus.
So
So being landlocked with no access, does that make it to go to bids? I mean, it's still
Less valid,
it's,
less exciting,
well, yeah, like
certainly, but
the open market won't reflect anybody in the county who wants to buy land. There's only people who can use it with it like this.
Can you sell property without access?
That's what I thought.
yeah, I didn't know.
I don't think you can.
You can sell it.
You
Who's
can
gonna
sell
I mean, the person, no, seriously, I thought you can't sell
You gotta get a
property
reason.
without access to it.
they may need an easement.
Yeah.
I don't know that the county would have to establish. That.
We couldn't force it.
No.
No,
you can't.
you'd have to either work out some piece of the property owner or have the court say,
I think we need to know if we can sell it.
Right? Because it may be only one person can buy it. and they don't want to
So you
buy it.
wouldn't even list it as
and there may be, I don't know that we've done.
Well, then we're not prepared to go up for, no, it's just premature then without having that answer.
So I was hearing some comments, the committee could take action to direct us to prepare it for bid, and obviously we wouldn't if there was any, if there were any legal barriers. So you could take action on it today to provide us that direction, and then we report back if we're ready to do it. So box along this way.
Well, at this point, it seems nonsensical to try to sell it when only one person can reasonably utilize it. Unless you have a helicopter.
I think what Jeremy is saying is if it could be sold and there may be an easement, that we could direct staff to go ahead with listing it as a sale. And if they hit those roadblocks, obviously then we'd be dead in the water.
I think it's right, but I think first thing in line is we gotta figure out the legal ramifications before we do anything. Isn't that the first order of business, is to figure out the easement, or to answer the easement question?
You really could go either route. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, so you're just authorizing the process. Obviously, if there's something we have to come back to the board to, or the committee to make a decision on how we proceed, because like I mentioned, roadblocks, if an easement's required, for example, say that it is, but if there's one required and there's a process to that, coming back to the committee and saying, here's what we found. These
Or
are the
maybe you
steps
find
we
there
need
is
to
an
take.
easement that we're
Where there is one already, then we wouldn't have to come back for approval again. The matter of whether or not we want to move forward with it is already here. So if there's some other issue that comes up, we can come back to you and sort that out at the time.
Given the strangeness of the situation,
Yeah, this-
wouldn't it be easier to just sell it to the only person who would have any purpose for wanting it?
Unless there is an easement that we're unaware of.
It's not a building site, can't be.
You know, it doesn't, even if there were an easement, I mean, what difference would it make?
It's no longer a hole either.
But there's only gonna be one buying it. Wouldn't we be, rather than getting a buck, going to auction and getting a buck?
shows it on the thing that it's like.
Are we required to go to auction or to list it?
You're not required to, I don't believe, but, I guess it's up to the committee's choice whether if you want to do a direct sale, I believe that's allowed. We would do a little bit more research just to confirm it, but, typically when government unloads property, we're open to this.
I guess I'm leaning to Dokes where we just don't know enough about this piece of property, know what we can and can't do with it.
I move to table this until we get the answer on the.
I'll
easement.
second that.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Now we're just talking about this in first parcel we're talking about. We haven't got to the second
Which is the
parcel.
second parcel is on the agenda.
There's no action for that. No, I wasn't prepared.
Oh, okay.
Forward for that.
Okay.
Then there's been a motion made and a second to table the discussion on the parcel. Till the future.
No, until we have an answer on the easement. Whether there's an easement there or whether an easement will be required to sell.
Any more discussion on that motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, hearing none, motion carried, so that issue is stable. Okay. So you guys will look into that when we're ready to proceed, it'll be here on another agenda.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item is consider possible approval of the tax due ordinance, which is at this time, we do not have it yet. So we
Yeah,
will
that,
put that on a future agenda also.
so the counties association sent out a template, for enacting an ordinance that's required by statute. I've been working with Michelle in the treasurer's office to sort out how that's gonna work. So, I guess I want to make sure that things are gonna work on her end as well as how they're gonna go in committee, but largely the decision-making authority can decide where a lot of that goes, but it makes sense. This committee has been the committee that has been responsible for making decisions on what to do with tax deeded properties for as long as I've been here. I don't see any reason to change that, so that authority would still be vested here. It's just some of the work behind the scenes that I could fall to the treasurer and to my office that we'd be sorting that part out.
I know that, Andy Phillips's office, the Tolis Law Firm has been working on this with County Mutual Insurance Company. There's 52 counties, I believe, that are involved in this discussion about this specific issue. And the counties association is trying to come up with some kind of a guidance for counties to move forward, so that might be another source, Dave, that you could talk to, maybe you have already. So,
Is this related to that change that was covered with the?
yeah,
Yeah, 207. Yep,
we're Act was Act
Act
210.
07. Yeah.
But anyway, there is efforts by the county association on this issue also. We'll take no action on that today. The vendor payments were online. Questions on those vendor payments? This was the fall. We're gonna have a chance to look at the supplemental payroll. I didn't entertain a motion to approve the supplemental payroll as presented.
I make a motion.
Moved by Doak, seconded by Paul to approve the supplemental payroll. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, hearing none, motion carried. Any other matters to come before the committee? Chairman, anything?
I got nothing.
Or next month? I believe so. They confirmed. So I, yeah, it sounds like Martin will be here next month. Discuss the health insurance.
Sounds good.
So is that where we're gonna look at different options in that? Is that the one you set up?
That's-
After,
Yeah, that's what I'm prepared to talk about, is just plan design options, kind of what the market's doing, how the plans look, that sort of thing.
anything you're gonna send out ahead of time on that one? So we're ready. Kind of worried we're going to,
I
what could they send?
can,
I
yeah,
don't know.
please let me know what you'd like to see.
I'm trying to remember quick what we were talking about last year, but I think it was like, we had talked about different possible wrinkles or
Right.
ads or subtractions from our current plan.
Spousal carve outs, I remember, but there's some other people who might want to see a plus one where it's employee plus one as opposed to family plan. For two people living at home, that sort of thing.
Maybe we should work on it. So I'm not needing to remember what, because there were some questions that we said, well, it's too late to really go get pricing on this change if we want to
Yeah.
do it.
I think those were the two biggest, was just the number of options. Right now, we offer a single plan and a family plan.
Are they gonna come with like some trends where can they do that? Come with like, here's what some other companies or counties are doing?
We can ask. I mean,
So then we know what's all
Right.
out there that we could even consider.
Yeah, I think we can ask, and it might take 2 meetings to get through it. I'm sure there'll be
Oh,
discussion and questions.
you would ask in the first
You
meeting?
would ask Court, well, I could ask Court ahead
Ahead
of time.
That's what I'm asking.
Right, I just can't anticipate all the questions and things.
I have one question too. I was asked, do department heads write their own grants? Or do we have somebody writing grants for it?
There's nobody with a dedicated grant writing. Yeah.
That's what I thought it was, but I didn't know for sure.
Back to the health insurance, I know one of the discussions we had when we talked about this was that we were gonna ask Horton to give us an option on if county would want to consider going to the state plan. What the pros and cons about that were. Because I know there's a cost issue involved in transferring. What that amount is, I don't know.
Yeah, and our group has been performing really well, way better than the trend. So that's, another thing to consider is if we're in a bigger plan, we're part of a bigger group, we do what the market does. And our experience the last couple of years has been good. And watch outperforming the market, whether that's by just simply good luck or factors within our group. But the market on healthcare is anywhere from 6 to 10% increases every year. And you have that. And there's volatility in there too, 10 isn't the ceiling, it's just a representative example.
So other than a review then for from them, you're saying that the trends and everything have been very favorable for us, so there's really no reason we'd want to change at this time.
Those are decisions that ultimately the committee and the board need to make.
But I mean,
But
right, but
I don't
please,
see the business case. There's nothing driving us that we ought to change.
right.
But you certainly have the flexibility to look at it and make decisions.
I think the whole purpose of this was we wanted to have them come with, they'd be able to go back and price some different options and show us what the cost would be or the projected cost would be before we have to make a decision in August.
Yeah, and I don't know that they'll be in position to tell us next month what they expect 2026 rates to be.
No, I'm saying that they're better prepared to give us option costs in August.
Correct. I think we start with structure and design.
Right.
Are we happy with the two options we have right now? Do we want to explore how, the structure of the plan, the shape of the plan, regardless of who provides it and costs? And then we can then look at, are there different ways we want to tweak or mess with it? One thing I would think about though, from your seat, is people buy and participate in health insurance for the surety of coverage when they have a health event and need. And they work for government because they anticipate having good access to healthcare and a solid backstop on their family's financial future when they have health issues. So, and I only bring this up just because that certainty of good care and even the discussion makes some people uncomfortable. So just for awareness.
And have we had any feedback from our employees? I mean, is everybody for the most part satisfied with accessibility, et cetera?
So that's a great question. And that's part of why I'm bringing up what I just said is I've gotten some feedback from people saying, hey, I hear that the board's gonna want to talk about this, just help them be aware of more or less what I just said.
Yeah.
And as far as the performance of our actual health plan right now, there's been some bumps with some people and sometimes significant. We're actively working on those. I meet with them weekly at this point with Horton and our health plan provider, Centevo. I have put out an email to all staff asking them to, if you're having an ongoing concern with coverage, please do, if you feel comfortable, share it with me and we'll work on that potentially. Made some headway on those bumps. Overall, there's around approximately 5-ish active situations that we're working on straightening out between employees and their household family members that are covered. So the scope isn't huge, but the intensity for those people affected is.
And that's certainly case by case, you can have those type of situations, but I guess if we were seeing a trend where we need to change something in the coverage that's provided, that's another thing we want to address. And you're totally right. I mean, what draws people to want to be working for the government is the benefits, right? And retention is important for us. But yeah, if you're seeing a trend in a shortfall, I guess that's something we need to definitely address.
5 out of how many though? It's about 150, or is it less on the insurance? Or more because
And that's not necessarily even the same stuff.
Yeah, without having the number handy, I could look it up. It'd take me a minute or two. But I think 150 is a good ballpark to think about.
That's not that great a percentage of the insurance.
No.
I mean,
Right, and that's what the scope is. The scope is manageable. It's just the people that are caught in those situations might have, $1,000 or $2,000 bill that they don't believe is theirs, and we're trying to sort that out.
so it's about 2.5%.
And you're
Give or
saying,
take, I'm not sure on the denominator off the top of my head, so I don't want to dive in that much.
and you're saying that employees are feeling uncomfortable because this committee is talking about insurance?
That's taking what I meant to convey and amplifying it a little bit. But just the fact that there is an ongoing discussion about structure and plan gets people's,
But it's our job.
they straighten up.
You're asking for our approval in August, and
Yep.
the reaction last year was, you're asking us to just be a rubber stamp because we don't have any time to react.
I
Horton comes to us with a number and we have 1 month or less to approve it.
People don't like change.
I understand.
Change that impacts people's health care is extremely unsettling. And so I am sure that the concern is that the county is going to reduce benefits, which is not the intention. The intention is to make sure that the benefits remain the same, but determine if we can provide those same benefits or in a more economic fashion.
Exactly.
I think that's, I mean, I speak for myself, but that's my position, and the only reason that we would review this every year is to make sure we are getting that level of benefits at the best cost effective. But yeah, we need to have time to make sure we're assessing that.
But I don't think it's the intention of the committee at all
Cutting benefits is not the
to
intent.
reduce benefits. It's a matter of it's a matter of ensuring that we provide the same benefits, but determining, is there a more
Cost
efficient way to
effective
do
way
it?
to cut, right?
And oftentimes in health insurance, there are. It does change. And after you've been with the same company for a while, it's interesting how things can change as well. So
It is content.
Mhm.
yeah, so I mean, the committee should indeed evaluate options.
I guess, Jeremy, it's your job to reassure them. We need the best for them.
If you have,
I can't do that.
I understand that responsibility. And
Yeah.
something the board just shared, and I was just making sure you're aware of the conditions on the ground.
And I don't know the situation of those that are having difficulty, but if you're having approximately, if that's the case, that you have 2.5% of the people in the plan are having a significant difficulty, I'm not sure. That to me doesn't sound like a plan that's working as efficiently as it should. But that's just fine. We don't have exact numbers, so maybe that's not fair to say. But the plan should be, insurance should be providing the level of care that is agreed to in the package.
Yes. Good warm up for a month from now.
Anything else for the committee? Thanks for that discussion. Now you guys aren't gonna like me on the next subject, but
Oh, boy.
the next meeting dates, I've got a number of conflicts over the next few months.
Florida.
No.
Florida,
I
Arizona,
wish it was
Texas.
Florida.
Can I, one thing first, so I believe the highway committee is gonna have something for us for this committee, may need to meet right before the board.
We will.
5:30,
for sure.
5:30 or
Yeah,
5:30 is enough time?
Yes.
So for sure, 5:30 for the next, on the 18th.
On the 18th?
Yeah, it's a budgeted equipment item that came up for auction sale is slightly above what we budgeted for.
Hmm.
So we would just want to make sure we run the right.
Okay, back to the request here. May and June, I'm gonna have, on those first Fridays, I have doctor's appointments that I've had scheduled out for a number of months that I just can't change them. July, the first Friday is July 4th, so I don't, unless you want to meet on July 4th, but I really don't. And then, October, I have another doctor appointment, and November, I'm gonna be out of the state.
You're way off my calendar already.
Well, I was just saying, I have some suggestions now for the month of May. Our normal meeting would be Friday, May 2nd. We move it to Thursday, May 1st.
What about April?
April's okay.
April
April 4th.
Okay, we'll go with that. All right. How are you seeing for May? What?
So I'm thinking either May 1st, the Thursday of May 1st, or the following Friday, May 9th. Whatever you guys would prefer.
That's how we usually meet, so Thursday.
Usually meet the second or third. So Gary,
What is
second,
that? I'm sorry,
we usually meet at highway on either the second or third Thursday.
or April or May?
No, yeah,
What do you,
May,
we haven't said it, but it's probably gonna be, I'm gonna take a rough guess, the 15th. That's the third Thursday.
Just move back to the 9th.
It's fine with me, it's fine with everybody else.
I'm okay.
Friday, May 9th. Okay, June, I was thinking on June, we'd have to go to Thursday, June 5th. okay?
I'm okay.
Paul, Steve, Jeff? June 5th, Thursday. Okay, 4th of July is first Friday, in July, should be 4th, so could we go to Thursday on that, July 3rd?
I'm okay.
Okay. Moving to October. We could do Thursday the 2nd or Friday the 10th.
Thursday.
Thursday the 2nd. Okay. And then November, I'm out of the state.
So Thursday, October 2nd, we agree.
Happy
Yes.
birthday, if I forget.
November, I'm gone from the 2nd through the 10th.
14th.
So we could do, and I can't do the 14th,
When does the first line?
but we could do October 31st, which is the last Friday of October,
Halloween.
or Halloween. Yeah.
So dressing up is optional?
So is that a possibility to do our November meeting on October 31st? Would that work for everybody?
Oh. Chairman Olson could bring us candy, all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're
I'm
not
okay
gonna
with
miss
that.
out on trick or treating.
Right.
Sounded like the October 31st then, Mr. Chair.
There's no objection. I appreciate cooperation with you guys. Hopefully this is not gonna happen again, but
Those are all doctor's appointments.
not all of them, no. Well, one is the 4th of July, 2 doctor's appointments, one I'm gonna be out of the state, and one I have a personal issue to take care of.
I was gonna say, I didn't
Or-
realize you were such a train wreck.
Yes.
Looks are deceiving.
Thought I had rheumatoid arthritis when it's early stages of rigor mortis.
Okay, thank you guys for,
So it's 5:30 on the 18th and then the 4th of April.
in our next regular meeting week. Then, yeah, we'll keep reminding everybody of the next one. Okay, thank you very much.
We're meeting on Tuesday. Next Tuesday. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. By Jeff, second by Steve to adjourn, all in favor?
All right.
Aye, both hearing none.